Welcome to Lesson 4, David's Covenant with Jonathan. When David returned from the battle with Goliath and the Philistines, his brother Abner brought him to King Saul. He presented Goliath's head as proof of his victory. From then on, Saul kept David by his side, not letting him return home. Wherever King Saul sent David, he prospered. This impressed Saul. The king set him over the men of war, which pleased the people and Saul's servants. Saul's love and kindness ended when the ladies sang more praises for David than for him. David's good deeds and prosperity drove Saul to jealousy, which led to a consuming desire to murder him. Saul hatched a plan to destroy the hero by offering Michal, his daughter, to David, if he proved his worthiness with 100 Philistine foreskins. With the help of his men, David presented 200. When that attempt on his life failed, Saul continued to try. David played the harp and soothed the king, but without cause, Saul hurled a spear, pinning him to the wall. Desperate to be rid of him, Saul tried to kill him in bed. While David lived within Saul's court, Saul's son Jonathan and David became best friends, and they made a covenant. They exchanged clothes, an essential part of covenant. Prince Jonathan wore a shepherd's cloak, while David wore a royal robe. They traded their weapons, too. The attempts by Saul on David's life multiplied until they grew so perilous that he fled. He sought refuge with Samuel, but the king learned his whereabouts, forcing David to seek Jonathan. Overwhelmed with despair, he poured out his troubles. "What is my iniquity? What is my sin before your father that he's seeking my life?" The news astounded Jonathan. His father always trusted him with his plans. But David realized the king had hidden his aggressions against David from his son. Jonathan relented and agreed to help. David devised a plan that revolved around the monthly new moon festival. The king required him to be in the king's court, but it wasn't safe. If Saul noticed him missing, David instructed Jonathan to say he let him go to his family's yearly sacrifice. If his father were to become livid, that would prove to Jonathan that Saul meant evil against David. As part of their covenant, Jonathan swore to protect him. If he fails and David dies, then he must die too. He made David swear this oath again, proving their eternal covenant love for each other. Then he instructed David to hide by the stone Ezel. When Jonathan comes into the field, he will launch 3 arrows. If he tells his servant the arrows landed on the side of the stone, he is safe. But if they landed beyond him, David must leave. On the festival day, Saul's anger burned against Jonathan when he gave David's excuse for his absence. They argued until Saul threw a spear at him. With this sad reality of his father's hatred, he and a lad ran into the field, and the arrows flew beyond David. The boy collected them and returned home. That left the two friends a moment to weep and say goodbye.